Welcome back, everyone, to the latest episode of the CyberSec sessions. Joined with me today is Michael, Director of Security Engineering at Sage. Thank you very much for joining us today, Michael.
No, pleasure.
So, to start things off, as I usually do, could you give the audience a brief sort of introduction of your career up to this point?
Rod, it's been a long one, and it's been a roller coaster. It's been a great ride. So I started off in IT and security 26 years ago. I'm going to stop counting at 26. I decided I had enough. And I started off like first line support, and then Windows, then Unix and Linux admin, and then got involved in the security side, so racking and stacking physical firewalls. And then people saw that I could speak to stakeholders and customers, as well as doing the technical side. So I spent a lot of time as a security consultant, and then carried through to recent times. In the last 9 years, spent various roles with senior leadership to where I am now at Sage.
Thank you very much. And I know you're quite passionate about this talk. There's a lot of debate going around at the moment on should CISOs be technical or not, and I'm curious to hear your opinions.
James, that's a really fractious topic, going straight in there after the introduction. Okay, so you can look at it from two perspectives. So, you know, if I were to ask you or the audience, would they if they need somebody, if they need a mechanic, they need a surgeon, they need an accountant, judge, or solicitor, would you want them to be technical? Would you want them to have technical understanding of their craft? On the other aspect is if you weren't technical, you didn't understand the technical side or the technical side of security, then in my experience, it could lead to you being led by the vendor, by a team or teams, or particular individuals. Put you on your back foot when answering tricky questions, and when you are there to make an ultimate decision, what are you going to base that off of? So, in my opinion, you absolutely do need to be technical to be a CISO.
Do you think on that it's more coming from a technical background or still keeping in touch with that? Because I think that's two different sides that I've seen debated.
So so there are different levels of being technical. So one is being able to deeply understand the concepts about what's going on, and for people not to be able to pull the wool over your eyes, through to being able to code or being at the coalface, which in my experience you're not necessarily going to be doing, or do best efforts. So I would say as long as you understand and can be challenged and can be have a in-depth conversation with your stakeholders, then you're all right.
No, great opinion. And
because you have to be credible. At the end of the day, you have to be credible.
Exactly, especially as you say, when you're making the final decisions, you can't afford to be led by anyone else on that because it's on your head. So absolutely makes sense. Right. And for those that have listened to multiple episodes, I'm slightly changing up the order of this question to give them more time later on. But Michael, what do you think the biggest threat in cybersecurity is at the moment?
That's another great one. So I would say that it's people, politics, ego. It's in a conversation. It's quickly the technology quickly leaves, or it ceases to be the most important and most difficult aspect. It's more about the people in or around it.
Yes. And dealing with those people is obviously a huge part of the job of a CISO or anyone, as you say, reporting with high-level stakeholders in security. So what recommendations can you give to other security leaders like yourself with the issue of this, as you say, internal politics or people side of things?
So there's never going to be a one-size-fits-all, but try to move towards doing data-driven decisions. So try to eliminate the emotions or people's preferences or biases, and try to pull out data to make those decisions on. Be willing to listen and try different approaches. And it could be the fact that just finding a form or some common ground. But I think that essentially, that if all else fails, it's about looking after yourself.
It's a great point. It's a great point. Especially, I think the listening one is something you don't hear brought up in that context, because actually being open to changing, listening and changing yourself is something, when you're in a position of knowledge, you think, absolutely, we should do it my way, but sometimes they may have additional info or those sort of things as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. And then last question. So what advice can you give to teams that are looking to attract, but then also importantly in this market, retain cyber talent these days?
Okay, so to understand what or who you want or who you need, and get that validated by others, get that validated by the teams who are maybe doing the same or similar work, or that this person or people will be working with, get them to validate or put their requirements in, and be realistic with those requirements, and also the salary that's going to go along with it. And then if you're able to find a way to look beyond the buzzwords, then you can find some real gems. In regards to retaining them, treat them well and pay them well, and give them space to do what you hired them to do.
No, makes sense. And you mentioned there, like, they're looking beyond the buzzwords. What sort of things, I suppose, should people be looking out for in general?
So depends on who's doing the looking. If it's going to be internal teams or organisations such as you and yours, but for them to have a subject matter knowledge. So if you're looking for a security expert, then to be able to understand that if somebody doesn't have a CISP or a specific certification, to be able to understand, okay, what are they doing? Where are their strengths? So can they do this job? Rather than just listing out buzzwords on their CV.
Absolutely. That totally makes sense. And I think you're right, especially when I see like more junior recruiters on my side first coming in, it's quite easy to just go, right, tick the boxes, what do they have, what do they not have? But you get to know the industry more.
I can sympathise with them. I can sympathise with young or new recruiters. Sometimes the KPIs under which they're under can be tough, and also the timing that they have to look at these CVs, and especially in today's climate, they'll get hundreds or thousands.
Yeah, that's part of it for sure. Fantastic, great. Well, look, that's all our topics for today. Thank you so much, Michael. I think there's definitely some points for people to think about in there, which is entirely the point of the podcast. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yes.